Here are the exact YouTube lessons I wish I knew before starting. And this is obviously before starting content creation as a whole. And if I had known these certain things I'm going to talk about in today's video, then it would have made me scaling to 6 figures a month that much easier. Now, here are the exact YouTube automation lessons I wish I had known before starting content creation. Now, once again, guys, if you want to go ahead and join my public Discord server, that's discord.gg/1%. Again, just a super cool networking environment, and it's completely free to join with a bunch of like-minded individuals. And of course, this is not financial advice. It's simply me giving my own opinion on what's worked for me in the past and just sharing it with you guys. First things first, and this is arguably the most important thing before starting YouTube automation and what I needed to know before starting. Doing the proper niche due diligence. Now, what does this mean? It means not immediately just starting on a random niche you see your favorite guru talk about, and actually ensuring the niche you're working on and the niche you're actually going to be starting on has proof of concept, has longevity, has relevance, and is going to be evergreen. Now, I'm going to start through the list on what actually determines a good niche and what you need to know before actually starting. So, first things first, that is longevity. Here's an example of a channel with longevity. Now, this is obviously in the Minecraft SMP niche. This guy has made millions of dollars. If we scroll down just a few months ago, he was posting 3-hour long to 4-hour long, ultra long form Minecraft videos that were averaging 10 million views a video with about a $25 RPM. So some of these videos were legitimately making him over $100,000 to $300,000 per upload. And again, the way this kind of ties into longevity is making sure, let's say for reference, you want to start a specific niche. And let's say Parrot here was our competition. We would of course want to check his oldest videos and of course make sure the niche we're starting actually has longevity and will be around 5 years from now. Now, of course, the game Minecraft has been around for nearly a decade, over a decade now, and is still insanely relevant on Minecraft as a whole. So we already know that we can tick this one off the list. Of course, longevity being, is this still going to be around 5 years from now? Next thing is, of course, relevance. Now, where this kind of ties in is whether or not the idea itself is still trending or if it kind of relies on a trend. Now, again, I've spoken about this before, but an example of a genre that relies heavily on a trend would be something like the news niche, where you're constantly posting stuff about world drama, politics, stuff like this. Obviously, Putin just received terrible news. This relies heavily on news, meaning these video topics will not be relevant 5 or even 6 years down the line. Now, another example of a not long-term niche would be something like this: Stranger Things lore, the entire Stranger Things timeline to fall asleep to. Again, this is not very long-term and it relies heavily on relevance, which is where the next thing in our list kind of comes into place. Relevance. Is this going to be relevant 5 years from now? If the answer is no, do not do the niche. Now, again, there are predicaments where you are able to still do a specific niche, even though it won't be relevant. And that's if you see a massive opportunity to kind of optimize on something that's trending insanely high at the moment. Like, for example, still a brain rot. This is obviously a Roblox game that is making people millions of dollars, like literally printing an insane amount of money just because the game is exploding. Now, again, we're all completely aware of the fact that a few years from now, maybe even a few months from now, this game will no longer be relevant. But again, in specific scenarios, if you are just chasing a short-term money grab, it can be super profitable to just go on a short-term niche. But if you are looking to build up those long-term automation businesses that will be around 5 years from now, it's super imperative that you choose something that doesn't rely too heavily on a trend. Next thing, this is arguably one of the most important, and that would of course be choosing an evergreen video. Now, I'm not going to go too much information on what evergreen topics are because I made a video yesterday exactly discussing this exact topic. But essentially, evergreen videos mean that every single time you're posting a video, you need to say to yourself, will this video still be getting views 5 years from now? And if the answer is no, once again, you don't want to post it. You want to ensure that every single video you upload is an outlier and is an evergreen video. Now, what do I mean by an outlier? This is, for example, a channel, Harry Potter Theory. They post Harry Potter videos. Again, I made a video on this recently, but an outlier I'm going to summarize really quickly would be, for example, if their average video gets about 20k views and we have some videos that do 100k views, we have some videos that do 237k views. You want to make sure you're merging both outliers and evergreen videos together to make sure every single time you post a video, it is not only an outlier, but it is an evergreen topic that's still going to be relevant 5 years from now. And by merging both of these, you have a winning format that will 99% of the time always work and build up a massive foundation channel. And of course, the last thing for the niche due diligence is first world demographic. This is very, very important. Now, if you don't know why we want a first world demographic, that would be US viewers, Canada, Australia, countries like that, and of course the UK, is because that is what determines our RPM, meaning how much we're paid per 1,000 views. And of course, if we're getting a massive Indian audience, it's simply going to give us a much lower RPM. And the way we can sort of tell if a niche is a high US demographic, and there's a few ways we can do this. First thing would be, of course, just reading the comments on your competition. So for example, if the comments you see have perfect English, like definitely had a heart attack about John Williams, all these comments that are super English based, that's a really good sign that this specific channel has a massive US demographic and of course first world as a whole. But if the comments are literally just like emojis with like love from India with a bunch of different emojis, it is a super good sign you shouldn't get into that niche. niche. Another way we can kind of tell is, for example, the NBA niche. NBA has a massive US demographic, and that means that the videos themselves probably also have a very big US demographic. So a way we can know this is, let's say, for example, you're doing a niche on Harry Potter, on Avatar, on Naruto. You can simply check what demographics usually consume that type of content, and that'll give you a pretty decent understanding on what that demographic kind of looks like. So for example, if Harry Potter is massive in first world countries and not so big in India, it could be an example of a first world demographic. Whereas you wouldn't want to do a niche like Bollywood, because of course, Bollywood is going to have entirely Indian-based viewers. And that's one of the ways you can kind of optimize your first world demographic. Now, one of the reasons this matters so much, and I'll just go through this really quickly, is because let's say, for example, you were posting ultra long form content, like a 3-hour video. You could have a $30 RPM if you're targeting US viewers, but if you had Indian viewers and third world viewers, this could be as low as $3 to $5. So it's a massive difference, and this is really the difference between getting 10 times the views and 10 times not. Now, the next thing that's super important, and one of the lessons that I wish I knew, was mitigating with team members for equity and not a lump sum. Now, this is the biggest problem. I see a lot of people starting YouTube automation channels, and they might just have quite a bit of money to just put directly into it. And of course, that's fine if you have experience. But if you're first starting out and you want to kind of automate a team, whether it's for handling script writing, video ideation, whatever it might be, thumbnail design. Now, thumbnail design is a little bit different. I don't mind paying somebody individually per episode for that. And of course, you don't even need thumbnail designs anymore. You can literally just use AI. But if you are doing this, you want to make sure you're not going to get burnt out by paying a lump sum of money. For example, let's say you're paying $50 a video and it takes you 50 videos to blow up. You're quite literally burning $2,500 before even starting to get money, of course. And if this is the case, offering an equity-based percentage can actually be very profitable. And again, this is what I would do if I was first starting out. That's what I wish I knew before starting, because the amount of times I've simply burnt out and pushed in too much money into a channel that literally had no return. Whereas if you work on an equity-based deal where you give one of your editors or your team members a percentage of the revenue, then you simply aren't getting burnt out, and you can essentially just wait until you're monetized and then change the negotiations. Next thing, and this is the biggest thing, overcoming chasing the gold syndrome. Now, I'm going to make a video exactly on this topic tomorrow, but chasing the gold is essentially seeing a specific niche, going, yes, I'm going to start that niche. It looks insane. You see a guru, you see something on Twitter, and you're like, yes, I'm starting that niche. And then you get halfway through it, you're so motivated, and then immediately you find something else and you go, wait, I'm going to hold off on this and I'm going to start this. And that's, of course, chasing the gold, consistently trying to find the next big thing and never consistently pushing long enough to see success in the initial thing you wanted to start. This is, of course, one of the biggest things you have to overcome when you're first starting out on YouTube automation. And I can't talk because this is something that I definitely suffered from. And I literally was the biggest practitioner of this. I could never stick to something long term. And that was arguably one of the biggest killers when I first began. Now, the last thing, and this is also very important, is never becoming complacent. And by this, I mean constantly scaling and not placing all your eggs in one basket. So for example, let's say you have a channel that blows up and is doing 10K a month. You don't want to simply rely on that and just ease back and not worry. When you first get your initial bit of success, that's not when you want to relax. That's when you want to start pushing harder than you've ever pushed before. That means reinvesting exactly what you're making, not pocketing anything yet because you have that proof of concept, and simply replicating the exact formula that worked on that initial channel, but on 3 or 5 different channels. And by doing that, you're kind of spreading yourself out evenly, and you're not relying on that one channel that, for all we know, could get demonetized, could get terminated, or so many other differences, or even just die out. So by doing this, we're really setting ourselves up for a future on YouTube automation as a whole, and this is definitely something I wish I knew before starting. Now again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to go ahead and join my public Discord server, that's discord.gg/1%. And if you want to generate entire ultra long form videos and scripts, you can literally just copy a YouTube URL, put it into produce.so, and copy their exact script style, as well as generating 3 to 4 hour videos, the subtitles, the editing, the background content, everything inside of Produce. Go ahead and check out my personal software. It'll be linked down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.